All right, Simmo, let's get our teeth into it. One game into the round, and it all starts again tonight, Friday footy. Do you love your Thursday footy? Or you touched on it at the start. Do you love knowing that there's a game on Thursday night now that you're in a different sort of area?
100%, yes. Yes. It goes quick, doesn't it? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
It does.
What you probably don't see much of is there's not a lot of preview for the Thursday night game because there's so many shows and there's so many reviews and
we haven't got to take into going forward.
Yeah. You don't project as much as probably what you used to because Thursday used to be the team selection and the footy show and that sort of stuff. So that's just a different economy, I suppose. And you'd like a good game on a Thursday night. That would set up the week really well. And it feels like it's the same teams every Thursday, Friday at the moment. So.
It's like North Melbourne of the 90s and the Fridays.
Yeah.
Carlton, Western Bulldogs, it starts tonight. MCG, looking at Marvel. Now, we talked about the focus being on Essendon and them actually getting the monkey off their back with a win last night. These two teams, I think there's some more upside for the Bulldogs with a lot of players still to come back. But Carlton have gone Boyd and Francis in Camporelli. Surprising, he lost his spot. Cooper Lord also out. And Liam Jones and O'Donnell come in. So two key defenders for Duray and Arthur Jones.
Yeah, look, it's a big game for Carlton. And last week we heard, did you hear Vossi's speech to the players in the rooms after the game? So that was more about, hey, listen, we were better tonight. And let's not get too down in the dumps the fact we haven't won. So, the strategic planning around that is stay up and don't want anyone dropping their heads in the room. So I still think the Bulldogs have probably got the edge. There's a few things Carlton need to work through from a personnel point of view that I haven't really seen with the inclusion. So I'm leaning on the Bulldogs this week.
On the Bullies, yes. Their upside is good, isn't it? I'm looking forward to seeing what they can dish up. All righty, so that's tonight's game. I'm sticking with Carlton. I don't know why. Every time I see Patrick Cripps in a lineup, it's pretty hard to tip against.
It'll be a contest-based game if anything we've seen from Carlton last week. They want to keep the ball in the trenches.
All righty, let's move to Melbourne and the Gold Coast Suns. Gold Coast have coming off the bye. They were very good here. Melbourne, we know, have been in a world of hurt in recent times. The changes galore. Melbourne, May, Aidan Johnson, Billings, Melksham and Langford in for Jefferson, Spargo, Woden, Turner and Howes. Mac Andrew, highest paid player in the competition, comes in. Walter and Flanders. Ballard's gone for the year. Ainsworth, who I was surprised to see lose his spot unless he's injured. And Sexton. He's injured, is he, Ainsworth?
Yeah, I think so.
All righty, there you go.
Well, we always had a bit of what's the tipping point of changes, whether it's injuries or form? Like if it gets above 5, that changes the dynamics of the side, and sometimes it's forced and you can't do much about it. And it just probably tells us Melbourne are just a little bit dishevelled at the moment, just getting their best 22 and what it looks and feels like after a poor performance against North. Look at those 3 inclusions with Gold Coast. Like they're pretty bloody good players. So Walter, we had an eye on him. He actually, I think deep down's a West Coast supporter, academy player for Gold Coast, sensational under-18s performance. So have a look out for him. I think, and they've had a bye, which is weird too. Like so, the risk is that they're coming off a bye after a really good performance here against West Coast. But I'm going for Gold Coast. I think they might be the real deal, especially if they win this game.
Agree. And all of those 3 inclusions, Andrew, Walter and Flanders, have come straight in. And for what it's worth, I know we don't take too much notice, but they've actually come straight into the starting 18.
But, yeah, what did they do last week? Did they play local footy? Like they had a bye, so they would have played a game somewhere. So technically you think, straight in, but they've probably done some sort of match sim in a real sense rather than just a Thursday training.
Yep, it's a big watch on Melbourne, of course, very much like it will be on Carlton. So Gold Coast for Simmo. St Kilda take on Richmond. This game at Marvel Stadium, of course, on Saturday twilight our time, I think it is, 1:15 our time. I stand corrected on that one. But anyway,
it is.
Sharman's back. He's that last in, first out. I'm not so sure Ross really loves him. And Toby Travalia, Stocker and Hunter Clark go out. Tom Lynch back, Tyler Sonsi, Sam Banks and Liam Fawcett lose their spots.
Yeah, look, I don't think there'll be much to this in terms of the predictability. I feel like the Saints, after a really good performance last week, they play Marvel well, don't they? That's fact. And it It's traditionally not where Richmond like to play, and with a young side, I just think the Saints might be too good.
Now, interesting, again, question without notice on Richmond. The news from Noah Bolter. They've shown the vision.
Wow.
And everyone's saying that he now faces to the extreme a 5-year jail term. How unsettling is that for the playing group? Now, so there's a chance that could be sentenced, but he could be available for 2 games. Now, Richmond aren't commenting on it.
Right.
I'd just love to know the inner workings of a football club, not just the coaching side of things, the playing side of things, but a club about what do they do with Noah Bolter?
Yeah, I'm not sure what they'll do on the public side of things, but internally, you know about it a fair. They will have known about this for weeks, if not months. The situation and how whatever it happens, I'm not going to comment on that. But how you manage that internally, that wouldn't have been this week. It would have been weeks ago about, okay, this is what we need to tell the players, the staff, what he's dealing with, how we're going to support, are we going to support, all that sort of stuff would have been done weeks ago.
It's bigger than the game, isn't it? It's so sad.
But you need to prepare, and this is taking the emotion out of the whole thing, but you need to prepare, you need to get in front of it from a messaging point of view, and they would have had those conversations and dealt accordingly.
Did you like going to Tassie?
I didn't mind it. It's a fair flight from Perth.
Was it direct?
Yes. But we played in Tassie. I can only think the last couple of years, I wish I could go back to when we were good and when West Coast were good. We played in Tassie. God love him. Oh, come on, mate. Yeah, come on, mate.
All right,
God love him. A few years ago, not long ago, we played Hawthorn in Tassie. Might have been last year or the year before, I can't remember. And we sell tickets to come on the plane with us.
Yes.
Come on the journey.
Yes.
Yes. Jeppy would get up and this is what we're doing. And inevitably you get the rusted on supporters, and we had a really young side. Like I remember pre-game I was saying, this is like under 18 state team. So how exciting. And we lost by 100 points. And the rusted on, and like I said, I got so much admiration. You can imagine the flight home, and they've sung the theme song, just to give us some spirits. Like, we've got your back still, and I really appreciate it. But
beautiful.
I'm not quite sure if we needed to hear that on the plane on the way back.
Is it a tough place to win and play? Is it like
it's unique? It is definitely unique.
York Park,
yes.
Utah.
Yeah, well, this is what hurt us, I think, and take away where the sides are at. But when you come and played at Optus, it was once a year. Oh, this is huge. We're not used to this. When COVID hit and everyone lived here for months, it lost its. I don't think it lost its aura a little bit. Imagine if we lived in Tassie for 2 months and played every game there. The next time you go there, you go, well, we've done this before. We've won here before. Know what it feels like. But when you go there once every 2 years, it takes a little bit to adjust, and it's more than just a captain's run.
Well, Hawthorn love playing there. They've got a great record.
They do, and that's why I'm going to back the Hawks.
Okay, Brewster's in for McDonald, who's injured. I like these ins, though.
They're good ins.
Stringer, Hogan, Briggs, the big fella's back. Brown, Grzuski and James Leake go out. Stringer has had to bide his time.
Yeah, they're great ins too. But I just think if this was played at a neutral oval, I'd probably lean towards the Giants. But they win 70% of the time, Hawks, when they go down there. And I suspect it might take a little bit of time before the Giants adapt.
Yeah, all right. It's a big one.
The night game too, which I'm not sure if that is a twist. Let me think about that a bit more.
Night conditions, exactly right. All righty. Brisbane at home to Geelong. We saw Brisbane, what they did against West Coast. Geelong were shock losers last week. Charlie Cameron Lohman, good ins from McKenna and McLaughlin. And Bailey Smith, your man, you pumped him up and then he let you down because he didn't play. Mark O'Connor goes out. He'll be the sub, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Brisbane at home, they're just going, aren't they, Brizzy? They're just doing what they have to do, but they've won. So this time last year, they were just going and losing. So to get those two players back, I think that's part of the missing piece is their front half potency, especially with Danaher not being there anymore. So Lohman and Cameron coming back in, getting a game under the belt. The only thing that worries me a little bit with this game is the conditions were so hot last week, and I can't stress this enough. If it's over 36 or 38, you can't train. It's a new AFL mandate. And then on the weekend, it was stifling conditions, and they allowed the game to go ahead at 12 o'clock during the day. So how have they pulled up? That's the only caveat I've got from that game. But I'm still tipping Brisbane.
Rhonda has asked, can you answer this of Simmo? What is Tim Jepp's official title job at West Coast?
I don't know what he's doing anymore, but he was a massive support for me. He was a connection to the past and present players, and ex-board members and chairmen and the old West Coast Mafia who the hell's this bloke coming in from the East? So he played a role for me personally that was really important, that helped connect not just the football department but me to other people around town. So I don't know what you want to call that, but that was really important. And that's what hopefully Minnie's got someone. I don't think it's Jeppy at the moment, but you need someone when you don't know anyone to connect you to people outside of just – because you get stuck in your office, football club, players. So he helped me broaden my connections.
And what about on game day?
And then on game day, he kept – there's still room for that. Hey, listen, Danger's had 12 touches, Simmo. I know you look at all strategy and system, but this guy's killing us.
So he's not saying a lot, but when he's saying...
Oh, no, he says a lot. But the things that I was looking for from Jeppy were for the obvious things that I sometimes overlook.
Nice work. Great insight. There you go, Rhonda. Hope you enjoyed that. It's a great insight from Simmo. All righty, let's go to North Melbourne and Adelaide. This game's in Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval on Sunday. Dowling, Nankervis and Murray in for his debut if he plays. Riley Hardiman, Finbar Maley and Callan Dawson have been named for North Melbourne. Maley's the new name there.
Geez, I don't know much about all those names.
No.
But it's going to be tough for North. You know, they had a great win on the weekend. And I'm a shin boner, as you know. So halfway through the last quarter, knowing you're going to win, that hasn't happened a lot for North in recent times. So that would have been such a great feeling for all the supporters out there and the players. They kicked 7 goals out of the middle, Goss, and that doesn't happen every week. So how are North going to back up a really good performance knowing they're not going to kick 7 from the middle every week? So I think Kingy and a few of these guys saying they've arrived and this is it, and I'm not quite sure. I think we need to see a bit more evidence before we go to that. And I think Adelaide in really good form, so I'm tipping the Crows. All
righty. Riley Hardiman, as we know, the boy from Swan Districts, from the Caversham Footy Club, played a handful of games already, so if he gets a game, we wish him well. I'm assuming John Worsfold will be doing the job for Minnie now, says John.
Probably. I think that would be something that he needs, is someone who's going to help connect to all the coteries and that sort of stuff.
Question without notice from 059. Will Lockie Neal finish his career in WA? I don't think so. I think that he tried that, he rolled that dice and it blew up. And our last game of the round with final teams. So today's Friday, so would they have a run today?
Yeah. Yes, not really, no. Tomorrow's the captain's run.
Okay.
Yesterday would have been main training, unless they've changed. They might have changed their schedule.
Captain's run tomorrow, 37.
Yeah, but it's 20 minutes.
Yeah. That's here?
It'll be at Optus or Lathlane.
Do you care about, were you wary of Fremantle looking at your training, and did you send people down to watch them train?
We did, not a captain's run. Main training would be one that you try and get your scouts out to.
Sit in the car and that sort of stuff?
Well, not me. I don't do, a bit like recruiting, mate. I don't do pro scouting either.
What are they looking for?
I think
style?
No, it's probably injuries is the big one, and I'm not sure who's on. So what's Fife doing? If he didn't do all the main training, he's not going to play.
Yeah.
So thank you. Or if one of your Brayshaw didn't train and there was an injury cloud, then maybe if we're going to tag him, we can actually look at someone else. So just trying to find out a bit of information so we don't waste our time on preparation on a particular player. And then every now and then it might be that they retrained their forward 50 stoppages or back half ball movement, not to the point where it was desperately needed to know.
It was interesting that Fremantle, and I'm not having a crack at Fremantle here by any stretch, but Brandon Walker, they only announced yesterday that he was having shoulder surgery. Like yesterday's Thursday. I think they would have known pretty much soon after the game on Sunday. It's taken that's a long time to be waiting to find out.
Sometimes you knew. Sorry to talk over you there, mate. I'm still learning. Sometimes when you ramble,
I've made an art form of talking over you, so that's okay.
I need to interject. If you need a second opinion or it's complicated, give us some time before we release it. So I reckon there's a small chance that this wasn't just a stock standard shoulder, whatever it was. Let's get him checked again with someone else before we declare what happens. Sometimes that happens.
I know a good surgeon. I'm pretty sure they've got it covered. Dudley, Warner, Reedy and Aish all in. Walker goes out. We've talked about Isaiah Dudley. So he's going to play. They've announced he's going to play.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it is great. I think it's just a little sugar hit. I'm just surprised. Now, West Coast, Graham, Flynn, Bo Allen and Williams. Jack Williams, I can't believe he hasn't played a game by now. I reckon he might be in for Archer Reed. Jack Petruccelli goes out. And Bo Allen, what's your vibe?
I don't have a massive vibe. He was ill going to round one, And then, of course, the game at Brisbane, maybe, you're going to debut someone, maybe that's not the game. So let's hopefully it's this week.
We played well against Peel in the Waffle
Okay.
pre-season. There's a
Great.
wrap on that.
Yeah, well, the only other thing that makes me think he might not play, have they declared it yet?
No, they'll do that today.
Well, normally, if he's going to play, you do it on a Thursday, so you get everything organised and you get the whole hoopla around debuting. So maybe that's not going to happen.
No, they're just going to release it to social media today, I would imagine.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, a couple of good texts. So who are you tipping?
Oh, my heart is with West Coast, but my head is with Freo. So they weren't horrendous on the weekend against Sydney. They don't know how to manage a small lead. It's what we heard Pearson. We interviewed him after the game. They know how to manage a big lead, though. So I just hope it's not that. And, this time last year there was no one wrote the script that West Coast were going to win that game. So my heart says Eagles, my head says Dockers.
There's no blowout here. There's absolutely no blowout. Looking at those two teams, there is no blowout in this game. West Coast have topped up nicely with Baker and Graham and Owies, who's a bit of a tackling forward 50 pressure man. I like him. And there's some upside. Jago Ramirez had a great start to the year. Sharp's been good. O'Driscoll's starting to really find his mojo as well. So I reckon both teams are better, and I'm looking forward to the battle.
Yeah, I think the midfield, there's a fair reliance now on Baker. What we saw on the weekend, he went from the half-back line, went on ball. We obviously need Harley to be at his absolute best. I think the depth of the midfield is the challenge for West Coast every week, and making sure that Tim plays his best version. They'll put some time into Tim, I would have thought. And they're not going to let Harley get off the leash either. So I think the midfield is where there's a bit of a discrepancy.
Hard to tip against Freo, no doubt. The 50th game for Jai Amos and also the 100th game to Bailey Banfield if they both make the final lineup. A couple of quick texts. Harlem reckons, what does Cody Simpson need to work on before he becomes AFL standard? He got injured. He got injured, so that put a bit of a setback. Jeppy was hosting an event around one of the Gold Coast. Steve reckons Jeppy was hosting an event at the River Room before round one against the Gold Coast was in good form.
I think he's working in that area now.
Okay, which is good on him. Yep. Chris of Tambourine Mountain in Queensland said it's going to be absolutely bucketing down on Saturday at the Gabba.
Well, it says pissing on my text message, but...
Seriously. Self-edit, mate. Self-edit. Did Jeppy ever tell Simmo how that he cost Derek Kickett a Sandover medal? Big Brian from Bali.
No, when you're with someone for 10 years, and I'm sure this will happen if we ever get to that, you repeat a lot of stories. I think he's got 5 stories on rotation. That's not one of them, though.
Yeah. Look, I've got one story. I don't know if you know. I took 9 for 8, 7 for 1, 7 for none, 3 consecutive weeks, and I've got the trophy to prove it. Had a bowling average of 3.6. We'll take a break. There's quizzes next.